his books and on television, Bill O'Reilly talked about being in a combat zone. The closest he actually got to that combat zone was in Argentina, not in the Falkland Islands, where no reporters were able to be. That's right. So your definition of war zone is part of the issue here. You know, as David Corn, the Mother Jones reporter, said to me on the phone a few minutes ago, he said, it's as if you say you were in D.C. covering a Vietnam War protest and then claiming you were in Vietnam. That's how they say this is.
Oh, trust me, we're going there soon. Let's start out with this, though. It used to be that America was the shining beacon of light when it came to freedom of the press. But the past few years and a certain presidential administration have helped lead to a decline in what once made American media a stalwart of truth around the world. Add to that some well-placed untruths from those who claim to spit out fact, and you have a serious issue. Welcome back to MidPoint, the media columnist for Mediaite, more important, host of the Daily Wrap, right here on weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joe Concha. How's it going, Joe?
Wow, a line from St. Elmo's Fire you threw at me.
Very nice. See, it's not many people who get that reference. It's either that or Breakfast Club references. Nobody gets them anymore, you know.
Oh, I get them. You realize that Breakfast Club came out 30 years ago this week?
No, yeah, I did realize it. I'm feeling very old. Thanks. Let's move on, please. You crushed me on that one. Hey, let's start out, first of all, with this Freedom of the Press report. This comes from Reporters Without Borders, finds that America is 46th in freedom of the press. How did we drop so low? I thought we were the big guys.
It's worse. We're 49th.
49th. Okay, even worse.
Ranking. Yeah, we apparently dropped 29 spots since 2009, which coincides with when the president took office, the most transparent administration in history they were billed as. And if you talk to any White House reporter, anybody in the White House press corps, they will tell you that this is probably the most secretive, the most obstructive administration they've ever encountered, and that includes some of the older folks who covered Nixon. So not a good record for a president that billed to be so transparent and open, and instead we got something that is somewhere around Pyongyang as far as our government talking to the press is concerned. 49. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Is the biggest issue here that, Joe, not necessarily that the administration stonewalls, but that too much of the media does not question it, does not dig in, and does not try to get something and not allow themselves to be bullied?
I'll believe that, Ed, because I think if you look at all these studies, particularly Pew does some great research on this stuff, opinion journalism has taken over, and that's because it's more interesting. It's because, okay, I already know who, what, when, where, why, what happened on my phone. What I want now is somebody to reinforce my perspective on what may have happened. So what we're seeing are opinion journalists that run with one narrative, and primarily they consist of the more progressive liberal kind, because they come from cities like New York and Washington, and they go to universities that are primarily liberal. So as a result, they won't dig into certain stories because they're simply rooting for a side, and you're exactly right about that. The media holds just as much accountability here for not asking the tough questions as they are for not being allowed to ask questions or getting access in the first place.
One of the guys who asks questions, and is sometimes called a bully, Bill O'Reilly at MSNBC and such, he's now basically saying that he was a war correspondent during the Falklands War. Mother Jones magazine has called him out on it. He's saying that they're liars. This is very uncomfortable now, especially seeing as it's the same company that just went through the Brian Williams routine, NBC.
I've studied this pretty closely since it broke on Mother Jones, and I'm trying to determine if Bill O'Reilly is in the same hemisphere as Brian Williams. And the conclusion that I've come to is that while he said he was in a war zone, he said he was in Argentina. He never said he was on the Falklands, and no reporter was. And the story that he told was that he was at a protest that got violent, that somebody that was with him was shot in the leg. This is all documented. So I think we're down to semantics here at this point. If he's in Argentina at a war protest where violence breaks out and actually gunshots are fired, is that a war zone? Did he ever say he was on the Falklands? No. So what's going to happen here, Ed, I think, if you don't like Bill O'Reilly, you'll believe that he made up the story. You'll call him the next Brian Williams. If you're a supporter of Bill O'Reilly, and there are many out there, you'll say this is just another witch hunt by Mother Jones, who's just trying to get after Fox News because that's what they do on a daily basis. So honestly, this will not result, Ed, you can mark this down, in any suspension, any apology, anything. Unlike Brian Williams, who said he conflated, he misremembered, O'Reilly is talking to every news outlet, including mine, Mediaite, as far as saying directly, this is BS, this is made up, And Mr. Korn, who ran with the story, is a liar and a smear merchant. So he's doing the exact opposite of Williams. And I don't think Roger Ailes will touch him with a 10-foot pole on this unless something comes out that is absolutely positively shows that O'Reilly's lying. But at this point, I think it's down to semantics.
I tend to agree with you there as well. Don't forget the Daily Wrap, weeknights, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Newsmax. It is Joe Concha, and he's the host. Joe, thanks a lot, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Ed. Enjoy the Breakfast Club this weekend.
Take care. There you go. Catch that movie on the weekends, and we continue.